We're doing another book haul, guys. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why I just keep buying books. And I bought a decent amount, guys. So only 5 of these were sent to me. And 11 I bought. Yikes. I really was hoping to not even have a book haul this month, or it was going to be very small because I do have a couple of pre-orders here. So I thought like that might be it, but of course not. Of course it's not it, Sarah. November is a month where I'm going to actually actively try not to bring any books into my house. Actively. We'll see how it goes. Hey guys, it's Sarah and book haul time. Okay. So I do have a small stack of books that were sent my way, either from publishers or they were sent as gifts, you guys. And I have 3 book of the month options that I picked this month. And then I do have a decent stack of books that I just purchased. A couple of them were pre-orders, but most of them were not. So, yeah, let's just get into it. We'll do publisher first because that's what's on top. Okay, so the first one was sent to me from Tor Teen, and that is The Luminaries. This is by Susan Dennard. This is a new release coming out November 1st. So it's actually out already, but this one is a young adult fantasy novel that follows an ancient clan, if you will, of witches who are tasked to protect these magical forests that hide dangerous beings, and they have to protect the forest. They have to make sure these beings stay in the forest, and they're kind of charged with hunting them and taking them down and just keeping everything safe. And we are following a young girl named Winnie. Her family has been treated as outcasts because of something that happened in the past with her father. And she is kind of stuck in this role of trying to prove herself that she can do it, that she can be what the society needs. And she runs into a whole bunch of different struggles trying to prove herself as worthy. So, yeah, this sounds really good. It's nice and short. So I'm very excited to read this. Okay, this next one was sent to me from Tor.com, and when I got it, I was like, ooh, interesting, and then I realized, oh, it's book 3 in a series that I haven't even touched yet. I don't own, I don't have it, so, but thank you. Maybe I need to get it now. This is Into the Wind-Racked Wilds by A. Deborah Baker. A. Deborah Baker is another name for Shauna Maguire. It's her writing under another name here. So this is book 3. Let me see what the name of okay, so the name of the series is The Up and Under, and this is volume 3 in it. So the first 2 books, and when I saw the first book, I remembered what it was. So the first book is Over the Woodward Wall, and the second book is Along the Saltwise Sea. So those are already out. This one is actually already out as well. It came out October 25th, so this is currently there. It's very, very short, a nice small book, almost kind of like a novella. So I would rather obviously read the first 2 and then go into this one. So I may see about if my library maybe has the first 2 and see what I can do about getting a hold of those. But this does sound very interesting. I do definitely want to read Shauna Maguire. I haven't read anything by her yet. So I think that this could be a good place, you know, either to start or just to dive in at some point to read these little short, cute books. But I did get sent the 3rd one, and I definitely appreciate it. This next one was sent by William Morrow. This comes out on November 15th, and that is A Ghost of Caribou. This one is by Alice Henderson, and this is book number 3 in her Alex Carter series. The first one is called A Solitude of Wolves. The second one is called A Blizzard of Polar Bears, which I have both of those downstairs on my review cart because they were also sent to me from the publisher, and they did go ahead and send me an arc of the 3rd one. So I'm definitely not ready to dive into this one yet. I still need to read the first 2, but I'm still interested. This follows our main character, Alex Carter, and she works as a wildlife preservist, if you will, explorer type thing. And she comes across some thrillery things, I think maybe some murders or, you know, things that are happening on some of their explorations. And she is definitely like in the middle of it and trying to figure things out and stuff. So this is volume number 3 in that series. So I definitely don't want to really look look into it because I don't know what happened in the first two yet. But if that is a series that you have been reading and loving, number 3 is out November 15th, and it is one that I definitely want to get to. Okay, so this next one was sent to me for my birthday from my friend Audrey, who I was able to meet when we went to New York. And I was looking for this book when we were at the Strand and they didn't have it. And I was like, oh man, I was kind of bummed because I definitely would have picked it up if they had it there. And so she knew I was looking for it because she was trying to help me find it. And then I came home and a couple days later, she sent me this in the mail for my birthday. Girl. Okay. That is When You Find Me by PJ Vernon. PJ Vernon wrote Bathhouse, which is one of my favorite books this year. Absolutely loved it. So I definitely want to read more from him. And I know that this is the other release that he had. This was written before that one. And he does have another one coming out next year, which I'm very excited to pick up. So this one follows a married couple and Gray and Paul. And Gray goes out. She's a socialite. She goes out for a night of parties and stuff. And then the next morning she wakes up and her bed is empty. Her husband is gone. And it turns out that he's actually missing. Nobody knows where he is. And they find his car abandoned. She is struggling with her feelings of relief because they have a very tumultuous marriage. And so she's starting to kind of think maybe this is her way out of that. And maybe she doesn't want to put a whole lot of effort into finding him. Okay. So those are going to be difficult emotions, right? And then she ends up getting contacted by a woman named Annie who says that she knows where Paul is. And so Gray accepts her help because that's what you're supposed to do as a wife. And, but things start going weird. Annie almost starts using threatening tactics towards Gray and revealing secrets that she should not know about their marriage and about Gray herself. And so it's going to kind of go through that. And I feel like it might even get to a point where Gray starts confusing reality, she's questioning her own mental state and what's reality and what's not. So I definitely want to read this. I'm very excited about it. Audrey, thank you so much. So yeah. And then I got a very sweet email from somebody, and she said that she had read this book and thought that I would really, really love it and wanted to send it to me for my birthday. So thank you so much. You know who you are. But she sent me The Nothing Man by Catherine Ryan Howard. And I was actually kind of shocked this wasn't on my wish list already because I feel like it should have been. I definitely want to read this book. This is kind of a book within a book. So we are following a woman who survived a serial killer attack that had attacked her family. So I believe the killer killed her family, but not her. She was able to get away. And now as an adult, she's writing a memoir about that serial killer and about what happened to her. And then we're getting another perspective from a man. He's a security guard, I think, and he's reading this memoir that she wrote. And as he's reading it, he's realizing she's talking about me because he's the serial killer. You guys, I want to read this so bad. I can't believe I haven't picked this up yet because the minute I heard what this was about, I immediately was like, oh my gosh, I have to read that. And I was shocked. I don't know how it wasn't on my wish list already, but it's in my hands now. So very excited to read this. Thank you so much for sending this to me for my birthday. And yeah, I'm excited. Okay, so those are all the books that were sent to me. Let's get into the books that I purchased myself because I'm ridiculous. Okay, let's talk about Book of the Month. I got 3 books from Book of the Month. I got 2 of the main picks, and then I did do an add-on because since it was my birthday month and I am a BFF, I was able to pick a free add-on. So I did that, and I picked one that I have some regrets not picking up when it was available. So I was able to pick it up for free, which is such a nice feature for them. So I picked Thistlefoot. This is by Jenna Rose Nethercott. And this is a fantasy book. And I'm looking at the back like I'm going to be able to tell you anything. Nope. This is like kind of a twist on Baba Yaba, which is like, you can tell because it's got the house with the chicken legs. And that's what Baba Yaba is like. The tale of that is that. So I'm definitely interested in this. I'm hearing some really good things about it, actually. And I don't know, I'm kind of, did I say Baba Yaba? It's Baba Yaga. My gosh, Sarah. Yeah, so I don't know when I'm going to get to this. Not this season because I have a little bit too much already going on. But yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. But it definitely intrigued me enough that when these popped up, I was hoping this was going to be in it. And it was. So I was very happy about that. Okay, so the second one that I got is The Family Game. This is by Catherine Steadman. And I believe this is like an isolated thriller. And it's about a woman who is meeting her fiance's family, and they go to their large estate because they have a lot of money. And some things happen from there. Some weird things start happening. And it all involves games, which I guess this family is kind of known for, like doing eccentric games and stuff when they get together. But here's the rules. I'm going to read the rules and then that'll be it. The rules are: number 1, listen carefully. Number 2, do your research. Number 3, trust no one. And number 4, run for your life. So I'm in. Don't want to know much more than that. Again, I feel like thrillers are giving away too much in their synopsises, so I'm not going to read the entire synopsis, but I'm very excited to read this one. Okay, and the one that I regretted not picking up when it was available, this was from July, and I didn't pick it up at that point. And I always kind of was thinking I wanted to go back and get it at some point. And so I used my birthday credit in order to do that. And that is You're Invited. This is by Amanda Giattista. And this is another thriller. This involves a wedding. I'm going to read the tagline and that's it. Again, I don't want to go into the synopsis, but what could be worse than your ex-boyfriend marrying your childhood best friend, getting accused of her murder? Yep, I'm in. Okay, so the rest of these books I got in random places, so I'll tell you where I got them as I go through them. But the first one, I went to a thrift store, guys, and I don't know why I went in there. There's a pretty decent thrift store here that when I'm on that side of town, I like to jump into every so often. And I don't do it often. It's been a while since I've been in there, but usually when I'm in there, I find at least 1 or 2 books that I'm like, ooh, good find. And this time I had a good find. The first one that I found at the thrift store is The Kingdoms. This is by Natasha Pulley. And I heard about this one on the Currently Reading podcast. And ever since then, I've been intrigued. This is a book that follows a young man. His name is Joe, and he has amnesia. And his first memory is stepping off a train in England, I think. There's one little clue about the mystery of his identity because he has amnesia. He doesn't even know who he is. And there's one little clue about his identity. So he is spending all this time trying to track down this clue, what it means, figure out who he is, going through all these things. I think there's a little bit of a time travel, maybe different dimensions type of play in here as well. So yeah, that's all I really know. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I do remember hearing about it on that podcast and I was very intrigued. And then I found it for super duper cheap at the thrift store. So I got it and it's perfect. Another one that I got at that thrift store is The Sanatorium by Sarah Pierce. And this is one that's always been kind of on my radar. And I didn't pick it up when it first came out. I was kind of waiting a little bit, seeing if I could find it for a little bit cheaper. And I did. I found it at the thrift store. And yeah, this is an isolated thriller about, I think, a wedding that is happening at this abandoned mental institution, from what I'm understanding. And this woman is a detective who's kind of taken some time off from her job, and one of her family members is getting married there. And then I think the bride ends up going missing. And so she goes into full detective mode trying to figure out when the world happened to the bride and what's going on. So yeah, I've heard some mixed things about this one, but people I trust have really loved it. So I'm going to go with that. And whatever happens, I didn't pay a whole lot for it. So it's like no big deal, but it's definitely one that's been interesting me. Okay, let's go with a couple of pre-orders. Both of these came out one came out in October, one came out at the end of September, which was this one. So It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. Of course I did, right? So this is the sequel to It Ends With Us, which is one of my favorite Colleen Hoover books, if not my favorite. I absolutely loved that book, and I definitely want to read this one. I do want to reread the first one before diving into this one because it's been a very, very long time since I read it. And I definitely would like to go through and tab it up and kind of experience that again and then go into this one as well. So this is definitely a continuation of that story with the same people. So yeah, but I will definitely get to this one. I just want to reread the first one first, and I'm not sure when that's going to happen yet. And I pre-ordered The Hollow Kind. This is by Andy Davidson, and this one is a kind of a horror, I would say, like a very, very scary / horror book. And it is following a woman and her son who are leaving an abusive marriage, and they end up inheriting this house that they are hoping is going to be an opportunity for them to start over. However, this house is kind of run down and like not at all what they thought it was going to be, but they're trying to make the best of it, even though it seems like maybe this house and the land that they are on could be haunted. So very excited about that. Love this cover. Love, love, love. And yeah. So this one came out in October. A couple books I got on our trip to New York. This one I bought at the 9/11 Memorial Museum. We went to the museum, and it was one of the most emotional experiences I've ever had. I cried my way through the entire thing. It was so beautifully done. It really, really was. And just, man, it was phenomenal, and very emotional, obviously. So I knew going in there that I wanted to get a book about 9/11 while we were at that museum. And this is the one that in particular I was looking for because it's been on my wish list for a while since it came out last year. And I was like, you know what, if I'm going to buy it, I'm going to buy it there. And that is Ordinary Heroes. This is by Joseph Pfeiffer, who was the first chief at the World Trade Center when 9/11 happened. He was the first one to get there and was one of the main people leading the evacuations and rescue efforts and everything that they could do while they're trying to figure out what in the world is even happening. And he was featured on the documentary that was on last year. I think it was called One Day in America. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And he was like featured in there very, very heavily because, you know, he actually witnessed the first plane going into the building. And I just, oh man. So this is one that I definitely wanted to read. And then when I was checking out, the girl who was checking me out said this was a phenomenal book. So it's very short, but I'm very interested in hearing his own words about that day and what they went through. And then we went to the Strand in New York. I went with my friend Audrey, again, from Chapter and Converse. And so I'm not going to lie, guys, I was very overwhelmed at the Strand. I had no idea what I was trying to look for. I did not go in with a plan. I kind of did. I had a couple of books I was thinking about getting, but they didn't have them. And so then I immediately went blank. And I was like, well, now I don't know. I know I want to get something. I'm at the Strand in New York. I need to get something. And I just was like, whoa. So I didn't do very well, but I did get a book. I got a tiny book, but an important book. I need to read this when I get to there. When I get to that point, I got Dawn Shard by Brandon Sanderson. So I was looking for Brandon Sanderson actually, and I'll get to that in this next book, but I am planning to start reading his Cosmere books next year. Like that is a project I want to start working on, is reading through his entire Cosmere, starting in kind of a reading order that I have found online. He doesn't really go into much of a reading order. He's like, just jump in wherever you want. It doesn't matter. So I found kind of a reading order, if you will, that I wrote down, and I'm going to start there. So this is in that reading order. Obviously, this is a novella that is part of the Stormlight Archive. And obviously it's like teeny tiny and cute, but it is important to read. So when I get to the Stormlight Archive, I will have this ready to go and I can read it when I'm there. So no regrets on getting this while we were in New York. It's totally fine. It was there and I got this at the Strand. Speaking of Brandon Sanderson, this next one is the one that I went in there looking for. And here's the thing. I have been on the hunt for this book and I can never find it outside of a mass market paperback in a store. And I don't want a mass market paperback. I don't enjoy reading that format. So I knew I wanted the hardcover because it seems like, at least in the US, it's one or the other. It's either the mass market or it's the hardcover. I'm not finding like trade paperbacks in this edition of this book. So I was just not having a hard time finding it. So I had it on my Amazon wish list, and then I ended up getting an Amazon gift card, which covered most of the cost of this book, which was not cheap. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to treat myself and use this gift card. And I only paid a little bit for this book. So it ended up working out nicely. But that is Arcanum Unbounded. These are the Cosmere Collection novellas. So this is a big collection of novellas, all set in the Cosmere. And I wanted to go ahead and get this because I am going to need this during the Mistborn read, which is going to be the first trilogy that I dive into. And there is a novella in the Mistborn series that I'm going to be needing to read, and it's in here. So this has a whole lot in here. I think it has everything but Dawn Shard. Oh my gosh. And there's even, I haven't even opened this yet, guys. Look. Oh, so pretty. Yeah, I haven't even like cracked this open yet. But this has a whole bunch of different like novellas and short stories. We have like The Emperor's Soul, which won a Hugo Award, I believe, and that's a novella. So we have things from Elantris. We have things from Mistborn. We have White Sand, a couple things I'm not sure about. We have Edge Dancer in here, which is also, Edge Dancer is also published like this, exactly like this, but it's Edge Dancer, but I have it in here now, so I only need this, and I don't need to get Edge Dancer now, so that's good to know. And I think that this one also has, yes, it has Mistborn Secret History, which has been published on its own as well, but I don't need to get that because I have it in here. So this is definitely something that's going to be important to me for my Cosmere read through, which is starting next year, like I said. And yeah, so I'm going to go put it on my shelves next to all my Brandon Sandersons and be like, just have these handy as I read through all the things. Oh my gosh. Okay, last one, guys. This one is so heavy. It's ridiculous how heavy this book is. But I had to get it. I had to get it. I had to get it. So, Harry Potter. This thing is so heavy. And The Order of the Phoenix, the illustrated edition, came out finally in October. This thing is huge. I'm not kidding, guys. Go to a store. Next time you're in a bookstore, just pick this book up and just feel how heavy it is. I feel like I'm holding a brick on my shoulder right now. It is so heavy, but also so beautiful. Like, I'll show you one of my favorite illustrations. I flipped through this. Obviously, I have not read this edition yet, but I will, because all of these are just so gorgeous. One of my favorites, hang on, I need to find it. Okay, this is like one of my favorites. Ooh, of course, my lights are kind of going off of it a little bit, but look how beautiful. Those are like the kind of skeleton horses that only Harry and Luna can see. Oh, love it. So tons of beautiful, gorgeous illustrations in here. I will definitely be reading this edition at some point in my life when I'm doing my read through of Harry Potter. But I love these editions, and they're just definitely collector's items, and I love them. These are illustrated by Jim Kay, and then also with Neil Packer as well. Neil Packer is helping to illustrate these too. So I have the latest volume. I'm very excited. Okay, that was my bigger than it needs to be haul for October. I'm not kidding. November, guys, I'm cut off because we have December book exchange coming up. So I know I'm getting a ton there, and I need to just not be buying books for the rest of the year. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I need to stop. So, yeah. And now I got to figure out where all these are going to go. I have no idea. It's fine. We'll figure it out. Okay. Let me know your thoughts down below. What should I pick up sooner rather than later? Well, I kind of have the rest of my year planned out, let's be real, because I have a lot going on for reading, just some plans of stuff and things and all that, but we'll see. So still tell me, what should I be picking up sooner rather than later? It's fine. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. I need to go. Okay,